something is being manipulated
the markets
to do that.
are being manipulated.
Well, number one, the markets have been manipulated, but strategic oil reserves are being tapped into.
When I heard that he was going to be interviewing Tommy Robinson, I'm like, "Whoa, wow, that's brave."
So what's the real reason, Queensland Police? Why don't you want to put your stuff on X? Is it because there's a certain leaning side of the population that you don't like when they call you out on your bullshit?
But what's important is that we're having conversations about it, about what's important, about what it means to be Australian, about how to save our country and how to leave it better for our children.
Well, welcome back to the Rust Experience podcast on this windy Thursday morning. Hopefully that's not too loud in the microphones.
Frigidly windy.
It is definitely winter, but we've got some things to talk about this morning, including...
Well, we caused a little bit of a stir with last week's episode and you all had some very strong opinions.
Well, that's okay because we invited them, but apparently we got a little too political.
Yes.
I want to talk about the fact that as a pig farmer, I got a notification by email about bird flu.
Can we talk about the fact that if you disagree with someone, you don't have to say, "I'm out"?
We can definitely talk about that. I've got a little update on the situation in the Strait of Hormuz and what's going on worldwide with oil.
And I think that we should talk about our mate Karl Stefanovic.
We should definitely do that. But first cab off the rank, I want to tell you about the scariest website I have ever seen. And it's to do with AI. So,
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't really been keeping up with AI news a lot. It's all just kind of progressing the way it has been over the last 6 months.
Nothing to report, everything to possibly pay attention to.
Yeah, you should be scared. You shouldn't be scared. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be devastating. That landscape hasn't changed all that much. Although I will say an expose documentary came out by one of my favorite YouTube creators that talks about this topic, all about the Sam Altman situation and how he was fired and weaseled his way back in.
Oh, didn't you know that?
Oh, no, I definitely knew that, but this is kind of the underlying story. So I will definitely put a link to that down in the show notes. It's a 40-minute little mini doco, but it is well worth a watch. All you have to do is
look at that guy and you can see that something's not right.
That is terrible advice, but I understand what you're saying.
You know, is it like undead? Is it, there's something not right.
Do you want to see the scariest website that I have ever come across before? And I've signed up for it. This website is called...
Rent a Human.
Rent a Human.
What does that mean?
So apparently, well, this makes sense.
Are we showing it on the screen right now?
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll do a little show on the screen. I'll definitely link to it as well, although click at your own risk. Yeah, look, it's a legitimate website. I've signed up to it with my Google account because I wanted to see what it was like. But there are some things that AI can't do because it doesn't have hands, it doesn't have a body, it can't get out, it can't touch grass.
Obviously can't type with capital letters either.
So, you know how there's websites like Fiverr and Upwork and that where you can like pick up little $5 jobs, $10 jobs.
Yes.
This is that, but where the AIs,
reverse.
So somebody's built something with an AI, they've built a system, it does a particular job, but there's one component of that workflow that it can't do because it requires a human to go out and do something physical. You can sign up for going out and doing the bidding of the AI, and make $5 here, $10 there, $20 there. Isn't that the scariest thing?
I don't know how I feel about that.
I think you should feel as awkward as you currently look right now.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah. So... yeah, no major updates from us on the AI front.
Just one step towards Terminator being our actual reality.
Oh, but look, at least they're hiring us to do little jobs. Yeah. Yep. We are definitely not going to be at the top of the intelligence food chain for much longer.
It's a very interesting future that lies ahead.
Yeah, it is. All right, I want to share with you an email that I got from... Australian Pork.
We did a live stream over on our homesteading channel. So in case you haven't realised, this podcast is on a separate YouTube channel and a separate Spotify channel because we like to talk about things that we're paying attention to. And some of you like to listen to things that we're paying attention to. Some of you have made it very clear that you don't. And you know what you get to do? If you want to listen to our homesteading stuff, you can go and look at that over on our homesteading channel. And if you want to listen to what we think politically or about anything that's happening in the world, this is the channel for you. You can even watch both if you want to.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't have to watch any if you don't want to. It's completely your choice.
That's how free media works.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. I think maybe there was a little confusion there. People obviously see us come up because the way these platforms like YouTube and everything else works is it's a feed.
I understand.
And so if you see our face, you're like...
So if you see the green R, that's the podcast. If you see the orange R, that's the homesteading channel.
Maybe we made that too similar.
Maybe we made that not clear enough. Anyway, over on the live stream on Sunday night,
Which was over on our homesteading channel.
Over on our homesteading channel, we had somebody asking what our thoughts were and how we could kind of approach the whole bird flu situation.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't like to talk about things that we haven't researched even a little bit.
Yep.
You can formulate an opinion on clickbait. You can formulate an opinion on a headline. You shouldn't.
Yeah.
A lot of people do. Can you tell I'm having a go?
Kirsty's got a bee in her bonnet. I suspect some of this is going to come out of this episode.
But we said we'd look into it, and it just so happened the next day we got this email from Australian Pork as pork producers, and this is what it said.
That's right. So because we do things by the book, when you buy pigs in this country, you have to be registered. You can't move them around without being registered. I mean, you can. It's very dodgy.
Shouldn't.
It's how biosecurity hazards actually happen.
Yep.
So I am in agreement with that. I do think that there is such a thing as government overreach and too much bureaucracy. But in this case, I do agree. And so being registered pork producers, we get all the notifications. And I got this from APL, which is the Australian Pork, I don't know what the L stands for actually. Limited. Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Wonder what they're limited to. Dear industry members, as you may be aware, there's a detection of high pathogenicity H5 avian influenza, in brackets bird flu, in a wild bird found sick on an isolated beach in a national park of Western Australia's southern coast. Let's just stop there after sentence number 1. What do we reckon about that? At the time of year when we're trying to encourage everybody to go for their flu shots, a wild bird on an isolated beach in WA
just so happened.
At this time of year, who found this wild bird? Who thought
How
to check
did it get there? Who thought, I'm going to go for a walk in a national park and, oh, look, there's a sick bird.
Yeah. Or that bird looks like it might have some sort of virus. So already the skepticism is high.
Look, it may be the case, but we're just demonstrating to you how to apply critical thinking to any situation.
Bird flu is ongoing, right? This isn't it's, worldwide cases pop up here and there periodically. So it's not like that hantavirus thing that like, there it is and there it goes, like it fizzled, right?
Yeah, but look, we paid attention.
Yep.
And we said, is this a thing? Isn't this a thing? We'll wait and see. It wasn't a thing, so...
That's right.
Huzzah.
The bird has tested positive for the same strain that has been circulating internationally. The strain is called H5N1 2.3.4.4b. Yeah, that's why they come up with better names. But anyway, currently we've just got bird flu. In recent years, and causing outbreaks in a wide range of species, including poultry, dairy cattle, and marine mammals. Pigs have been implicated in a small number of overseas cases, but only mildly affected, and they don't really say how. And here's the dot points. There have been no detection of H5 bird flu in Australian poultry. So in the country, none of our poultry, the thing that it would affect the most, none detected. At this stage, there's no impact on Australian poultry or egg production or on international trade of Australia. APL will continue to monitor, regular updates will be made. So it's something that affects poultry. Now they said worldwide there have been a couple of mild cases that affected pork. Is that what
Yes.
Yeah. Pigs have been implicated, but they don't go on to say what does that mean.
Yeah.
Right? Current situation, CSIRO has confirmed that a wild brown skua, S-K-U-A, skua, tested positive.
So it wasn't
And a giant petrel found in the same region also tested positive. Yeah, but it's transmissible between bird species, right? The Western Australia Department of Primary Industries and Regional Development is coordinating response activities on the ground, including enhanced surveillance, working closely with industry, veterinarians, wildlife carriers, and local communities. Okay, here's the important information for us. Public health, bird flu is not a food safety concern. All right, number 1. Let's rank it a little bit lower and not get so freaked out.
So that means if a bird has the flu and you eat the bird, you won't get bird flu.
It is safe to eat properly handled and cooked chicken, meat, eggs, and egg products.
Always good to apply food safety.
There is no evidence to show the virus can be transmitted to people through properly prepared food.
Okay.
There have been no human cases in Australia.
Okay.
Consistent with ongoing guidance, APL's advice to producers is to encourage annual flu vaccinations for all personnel.
Why?
So, not really an issue, not really an issue, not really an issue. Make sure you go get your flu shot.
Do people still get flu shots?
I'm sure some people get flu shots, but there's definitely a larger degree of skepticism of all kinds of shots given recent
We're not going to go into
activities.
that.
Well, I am a little bit. So review your farm biosecurity, ensure all staff and visitors are made aware, monitor pigs and poultry closely. So
For what?
it can't really get into pigs. Even if it gets into chickens, it's not an issue for humans. There's been no cases in humans, but be on high alert and also go get your flu shot. So I wanted to know about this. Why would the advice be to get a flu shot? And I used my friend, this time I used ChatGPT, and it came back and said because there is such a phenomenon known as reassortment. So what can happen? Let's say a poultry worker gets exposed to bird flu.
Okay.
Let's also say that that poultry worker contracts bird flu. So even though
It can't happen.
it probably could in very, very few cases, let's say they get it.
Sure.
Let's say at the exact same time they also get human influenza. Let's also say at the exact same time both of those viruses happen to infect a particular type of cell in your body where the viruses can interact with one another and do what's called reassortment. Let's say that reassortment produces a viable virus that
Yes.
that is a mutation of the two.
Sure.
Let's say that viable virus is also transmissible human to human.
Sure.
And let's say that transmissibility causes an outbreak and an epidemic. A lot of let's says there, isn't there?
That person should go and buy a lotto ticket.
You want to know how much of a lotto ticket they should buy?
How much?
I ran the numbers. First of all,
Oh,
ChatGPT
That was not prepared.
wasn't willing to, this little interaction.
Yeah.
No, I like going into these things without telling
No.
Kirsty what I've researched.
Worst possible thing to try and script me. I get all awkward. I don't know, Regan. What should they do?
So, ChatGPT kind of refused to run the numbers for me at first.
Really?
Yeah, I had to prompt it in such a way as to say, I understand that you don't have hard data, like fixed numbers that you can guarantee.
Hypothetically.
But let's say, based on the available data that you do have, information that you do have, historical studies, let's say you ran a hypothetical scenario and I will agree to take it on face value as a best guess.
Okay.
And that finally unlocked it.
Sure.
And so here's what it came up with. I said, run all the numbers. Let's say you're exposed to an infected bird or a contaminated environment, 1 in 1,000 chance.
So the person who found the bird on the isolated part of the national park in Western Australia,
Yep.
1 in 1,000 chance of that happening.
Yep.
Cool.
Do you know what's not even in here is that the person works with poultry, but anyway.
Yeah.
Let's say also exposure results in an actual H5N1 infection on the person. Maybe a 1% chance, 1 in 100. It's
Okay.
guessing, but maybe.
Okay.
Based on available
It's not
data.
nothing.
You're simultaneously infected with a seasonal influenza. Let's say a 5% chance, right?
It's
seasonal
flu
influenza.
season.
Yeah, right, okay. Both viruses infect the right tissue at the right time. Let's say a 1 in 10 chance. We've been very generous with that one.
Wow.
Reassortment produces a viable virus. We're back to 1 in 1,000, 0.1%.
Yes.
Right? That virus can transmit between humans. Also, we're going to say 1 in 1,000, which I think
Okay.
is also highly generous.
Yeah.
And it becomes epidemiologically significant. We're going to say 1%, 1 in 100. Now,
Okay,
you
so
don't
what
just
are the
take the 1 in
total
1,000.
odds?
So you know the way to do this, right? Is you've got to multiply all those 0.1s by 0.01, right? Together.
You're frothing on this, aren't you?
I am, because you want to know the results.
Yeah.
It's 1 in 2 quadrillion.
Of that happening.
That is the chance of it
Sure.
happening. 1 in 2. And I said to it, I can't fathom that number. Like, it wrote it out for me on the screen, but it's a ridiculously huge number, right?
Sure.
The number of people on the planet is insignificant compared to 2 quadrillion. So I said to it, run it for me this way. Let's assume everyone on Earth is a poultry worker. How many years would have to pass before this event
hate
could actually happen?
hypotheticals.
Yeah, but you've got to run the numbers
Yeah.
like this, right? Because you can say something like, go get your flu shot because this is a thing that could happen.
'Cause this is a
But
threat.
let's ask how relevant it is that it could
How
happen.
likely is it to happen?
So if everyone on Earth worked in a poultry farm, this would mean one pandemic of a reassortment virus every few decades. It'd take a minimum of 10 years, but more likely somewhere up to 50 years for this to turn into something. But only if everyone on Earth, 8 billion people or whatever we're up to now,
Worked in a poultry farm
worked
or
in a
had
poultry
chickens.
farm. Yeah. And so I kind of, here's my query. Why, when you put out a public safety notification like this, does the adjoining, What are we halting? Oh, this wind? Okay, now that crazy wind just died down a little bit. So basically, my question was, why make a recommendation for every poultry worker or on-farm worker to go get a flu shot when the chances are 1 in 2 quadrillion that it could actually be...
Thing.
Wouldn't you be far better off giving seatbelt wearing advice or travel advice against Ebola? Like, those things are far more likely to happen to a poultry worker than the possibility that they happen to, and we get this mega virus because somebody managed to do some Wuhan stuff in their own body. Right?
So that is the framework from which we are approaching, paying attention to what the media are saying and what the government is saying about bird flu. What would be the implications if we had like backyard chickens or homestead chickens?
At the moment, nothing.
No, but like if there was to be some kind of government response.
So...
Because didn't this happen before and they culled a bunch of
ostriches? Yeah. So if you've ever kept chickens before, you will know that respiratory illnesses are a pretty common occurrence, right? So most backyard chicken keepers who are at least a little savvy with their medical responsibilities for their chickens are just going to think that they've got a respiratory illness, and they're probably honestly just going to give them apple cider vinegar.
Yeah, right.
And maybe some vitamins, or maybe, right? Anybody that's kind of going semi-commercial or doing like a farm gate thing might be taking on a bit more responsibility. You don't have to register unless you've got, it'll be different state to state, but I know in some states it's, no, it's a state-based thing.
Okay.
It's about 100 chickens. It might be different state to state.
Yeah.
So...
Like your normal backyard chicken person.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where the question was coming from, which is like what, as homesteaders or people who have chickens, like what could that mean for us?
So let's put it in, like, let's add it to that stack of if they happen. First of all, we've already determined that the bird flu in a properly prepared food is actually not an issue. So it has to be that if it happens to create this crazy mutant strain of virus that can then go human to human, the odds are so low of that happening anyway. You have to add on, and if that person happens to keep backyard chickens.
But the question I'm asking is, what's a government response likely to be?
Well, let's look at what happened in the UK. They registered chickens.
Right.
And you have to ask why.
Yeah.
Why did they? If the odds are so low that it, like, next to impossibility of anything significant happening, then why force the issue of registering chickens, right? And I follow a lot of pages and people in the UK when this happened, and about half the people were like, well, if you've got nothing to hide, why are you worried? And I'm worried because when you do the simple math yourself, it doesn't add up.
I guess the question that I think the person was asking, and I think you're missing my point, is what could be a government response to this? Would we have to cull our chickens? Would they, like you said, in the UK, make us register them? Like what are some expectations of what could happen if there was like a government response to this?
So first
I think that was the vein of what the person was asking.
Right. So first of all, they would have to implement a system for registering backyard chickens prior to this happening.
Okay.
And then, so a good example of this would be varroa mite, which came into the country about 4 or 5 years ago. It's
in bees.
It's in bees. And when you keep bees, even on a small scale, home scale, you have to be registered for them. And so that opens you up to inspections. If there's an outbreak in your area, you get inspected, and it's like a no contest. Your hives get burned if you found. Although there's treatments now anyway. We won't go into bees. But I would say it'd be a similar thing.
Something similar to that.
My pushback on that would be, why? In the bees case, I understand. It vastly reduces the health of the bees and their ability to breed, gather honey.
And bees are a lot more, if you think about your backyard chickens, they're not going anywhere else.
No, they don't interact.
Bees are constantly touching.
Oh, they've got a 5 kilometre radius that they work within.
There's so much more reach that a beehive, like a home-based beehive would have than a backyard chicken
absolutely.
coop. Yeah.
So My pushback here, I guess I sort of understand your question, but my pushback would be if this stuff starts to come in Australia, where we are demanding that people register backyard chickens, and the reason is given because of the interaction that can happen, because of the possibility of these reassortment viruses.
We're armed with this information.
Please push back on your representatives with some of these numbers.
Yeah.
Feel free to quote 1 and 2 quadrillion. The maths is vague, but it's not 1 in a million. Anyway.
And this
I'm
kind
a
of,
little worked up.
I can tell. This kind of leads us into, like, you can see how the media are taking this on. And it's really interesting, like, getting that email on Monday and watching some of the headlines about it. I'm like, they're not saying the same thing.
No.
It's very much more sensationalized in the media, as like that email seems quite like straightforward. Here's the information, here's the facts.
Well, look what the media learned in 2020. They could glue you to the TV.
This is kind of where I want to go next, is the fact that today in Parliament, Senator Alex Antic is raising a motion for Australia to have its own inquiry into...
Raised and has already been shot down.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Into the COVID response.
Yes.
Based on the information that the former Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, released the day that she left.
I love
Such a badass move. That basically said Fauci was as evil as
he lied.
All of the conspiracy theorists
lied.
were saying, and that the American government was funding gain-of-function research in labs overseas.
Yep.
And they knew about it, Fauci knew about it, and the media took something that wasn't true, or something that was true, twisted it, made a huge propaganda machine that shut the entire world down and ruined economies and people's lives.
Well, not just that, but there were people that are actually knowing, like, Brett Weinstein, who I follow, their podcast came out and spoke out against this because they are legitimate bat scientists, Brett and Heather. They spoke out against it. They got demonetized. They've only recently, in the last few months, been remonetized by YouTube. Half a decade later.
There were so many
and they don't get refunded all the money that they lost as part of their career, even though they were freaking right.
And there's no vindication in the media for that either.
No.
And there's no real even coverage of what happened, of what those files said. It's like crickets. It's like silence. Yeah, we don't talk about that.
Yeah, move on.
So, and if you don't realise at this point that you're being manipulated by the government, by mainstream media, by clickbait media, by everything that you see and hear, there's an agenda and there's a spin. If you don't realise that yet, you better get on board quickly, because it's only getting worse. And it's proven by what has happened with the release of those files. Yeah. We were right about it. We were right to go, something doesn't feel right here.
Add up.
Something's not adding up.
Yeah.
And what I hate is when you dared to question, even just to say, back in the early days of the COVID era, I don't know about this. Something doesn't feel right. You were like,
bam.
Bam.
But what about your grandma?
Yeah, you don't care about any... And it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Just... like, how dare you say you feel like something's not right with the narrative that's being shoved down your throat?
Yeah.
That's vindication right there, not that there'll be any public, announcement about it. So if you haven't seen that and you haven't gone, yeah, my gut was right, then what's the next thing that's going to be the thing that gets shoved down our throats and manipulated?
Yeah, gaslight. So my question would be, why did they vote against Alex Antic? So he raised a motion for an inquiry, right? He basically wanted, if it's true that this happened in America and stuff that they were told there turned out to be demonstrably false, and an inquiry proved it out, should we not do the same due diligence in our country
to see what has
find out
failed
whether
us?
or not we have got full transparency, faith in our leadership? That seems to be a worthy motion. My question would be, why the hell would you vote against that? What have you got to hide? Like it, and don't come at it like, oh, well, it's public money. Like we need to be careful how we spend our public money. They're not freaking doing that, are they? So my question would be, why is it ever a bad thing to conduct an inquiry where there has been a demonstration, granted, in another country, but we followed lockstep with them?
Yeah.
So where are the links? And, you know, the worst that happens is, you know, maybe some mistakes get brought to light and we make corrections.
Isn't continuous improvement just like the way that the corporate world is meant to work?
Yeah, but the best that happens on the part of the Australian public is that we discover there wasn't full transparency.
No.
Things were said that were knowingly false.
Yes.
Manipulation happened.
Yes.
Remember the pandemic of the unvaccinated? Like, those lines don't stack up or
like
make sense anymore based on what has come out there. And so if we followed suit when we followed them down that route, why are we not willing to do that this time around? And that question
I saw
is unanswered.
a photo on X the other day, and it was a cartoon, you know, those like caricature cartoons?
Yeah.
And it was a politician standing at a platform that said transparency in front of it.
Yep.
And they were holding up like a binder of information.
Yeah.
Pages open, like going, look, we're being fully transparent, but every single word was redacted. And that's what it's like. It's like, yeah, here's the files.
What files?
But they're all redacted.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's national security. No, that's not transparency.
It's as helpful as if you'd done an interpretive dance about the files.
I don't think it takes that many, like, it's common sense.
Yeah.
To go, that plus that equals that, and we should ask questions about this. Yeah. And our government should want to ask questions about this, because if they were getting their information from America and that information was manipulated and wrong, there should be a please explain.
Absolutely.
We, as a nation, made decisions on behalf of our people, let's say that, that was directly informed by your intelligence.
Yep.
Please explain. I don't care what kind of ally you are. Like, our friends don't do that to each other, do they?
And one of the pushbacks might be you don't want the general public who are not educated about these specific things making educated decisions without all of the facts. You know, like, and I understand there was a lot of pushback on that. Oh, we don't want fringe science and we don't want junk science and people doing their own research.
Turns out it was junk science anyway.
Well, to a certain extent, that is actually a reasonable argument, but the answer to it is better education and information, not withheld information. All you proved was that you can't be trusted to be the holders of the binders of information.
And when you look at what happened, the people who spoke out got vilified.
Yeah.
Deplatformed, silenced, things got censored, your social media platforms got censored, you dared to say anything out loud, you have to write the word COVID differently now, otherwise...
with an asterisk, that's right, I forgot about that.
That's not normal.
Yeah.
That is not how a normal society, a free society, should be behaving. The same is now becoming true of other parts of policy, discussion. There's certain religions that you can't trash, or no, not even trash, just speak against. Questions, there's certain political ideologies that you can't question. At what point is that same framework going to be just carbon copied across the board?
Yeah. All right, before we get into some of that, which I know is where you want to go, should we talk about the Strait of Hormuz and how it's open? Trump won for the 39th time in a row. Isn't it just getting laughable?
It was laughable 37 times ago.
Believes it? But what I noticed, what I'm paying attention to now is what he's saying to try to keep people on on his side. And he's talking about oil prices. And so he's saying, like, the economy is stronger than it's ever been. Oil is, like, as low as it's ever been. But it doesn't add up, right? And so they're saying, like, the price at the Bowser is what you should go off of. Actually, I think you need to look at how many tankers are actually moving.
Well, and now, like we said in last week's episode, that's becoming harder to find. That information is becoming harder to find.
Yeah. So,
and America's about to hit tank bottom. That's what a lot of the analysts are saying is causing this panic, is because they need the oil because they've given away all of their strategic reserve.
Yes.
And yes, they might still have this much left in the bottom of the tank, but that's basically, that much is unusable.
Yeah.
It's a wild situation to watch, maybe because we're not in it. Like in Australia, it's a little bit removed from America. And the Albanese government has done the right thing by at least extending the relief on the tax for it for another month. Like, you know, I have absolutely, there's no love lost between me and the Albo government.
Yep.
But that was
he couldn't
the right thing to do.
He couldn't not do that.
The right thing to do would be to, like, be transparent with the Australian people. But, you know, another month, thank you very much.
Here's the problem. It's still a vast amount of oil and agricultural products. They're now starting to quote, and I can't remember how much it is. I think it's in the 30s% of the world's agricultural products, like fertiliser, travel through the Strait. And yes, some ships are moving, but they're violating this memorandum of understanding from day one. They're charging fees. Israel just went and attacked Lebanon on the day,
again,
which is a middle finger to Trump, isn't it? To kind of go, we're not part of this.
Watching it all happen is, it's like watching a clown show.
And like I said last week,
really awful.
The answer isn't in what happens now or what Trump is saying or what JD's going in meeting and saying. It's what happens when Iran runs down the clock, which is their strategy right now, because they have found themselves now in a position of power. Yeah. They will become a nuclear superpower on the stage with Russia,
Not saying
China.
that we agree with that,
no, but
just to be clear.
The only thing that...
They are more powerful now than they were before America attacked them.
That can't be reversed. But the only thing that can get worse is oil flowing. And so I've got a graph on screen, and I'll share this down in the notes as well. And this is the Strait of Hormuz traffic collapse and Brent oil crude prices. And so you can see it, like there's the amount of shipping that's kind of going through, and then it just drops off, right? We all remember that day, and it just drops off down to nothing. And then it kind of tracks like really like minimal, next to nothing.
Mostly Iranian ships.
Yeah. In the last few days, that's popped up. So where it was in the, I'm going to say like around about 100 vessels a day transiting, it might be around 30 now, possibly less. But for the that other time, it was like 8, you know. It's a little
bit of a wait and see game, isn't it?
But here's the important...
You can't trust anything.
No, you can't. Yeah, is this data even valid? But based on what's known, and so there's sources for all of this, so I'll link to all of this. But you watch the oil price, when things are normal in the Strait, it's tracking at sort of like $65 to $70. That's the Brent crude price. After that Strait collapses and all the shipping drops off a cliff, oil goes right up, right?
Yeah.
And it's then up, 100, 120, 140. It's like ping-ponging up there for the last couple of months. Well, where's that? March, April, May, June, like the last 3 months at least. And then it does look like it's starting to track down. But here's the thing that doesn't make sense. How is the price of oil tracking down over, I'm going to look at that and say that's over the last 30 days. It's still not down to where it was. How is it tracking down when the shipping has not improved?
Yeah.
Right? Something is being manipulated to do that.
The markets are being manipulated.
Well, number one, the markets are being manipulated, but strategic oil reserves are being tapped into. So why do you keep strategic oil reserves? One reason would be to like buffer against market fluctuations like this. Another reason would be, what if there's an all-out world war or some massive scenario? You don't want to be caught short of oil. No. Your war machine is going to run on it.
You need to move stuff places.
So I say we, but I'm going to look at the US as an example. We're probably following suit. Are tapping into oil reserves to buffer the market being incredibly unstable right now. What happens if this turns worse and we need that oil for other reasons? Just putting that out there. So this was a post that Brandon Wickert shared. He's another expert.
He's probably one of the ones that we listen to consistently.
Yeah, the two guys that I'm have high trust in would be Brandon and Professor Robert Pape. He shared this one. It's a photo of one of these salt caverns that they store the oil in. Yeah. The last official number I could find indicated that the SPR, that's the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, had around 340 million barrels of oil. Now,
that's not actual barrels, guys.
Yeah.
We've all learned something.
Yeah, that's right. That's just
We've
how they
all
measure
learned
it.
something through this.
But industry experts note that much of that oil is effectively unrecoverable. You see, the SPR is stored in salt caverns. Those caverns accumulated rock, sediment, sludge, paraffin wax, and brine solutions to keep the oil floating within the storage chambers. The practical amount of recoverable oil in the SPR may be closer to 100 million barrels. Now, that's contested. Some say actually sometimes when these caverns have been completely emptied out for maintenance, they've actually been able to recover like 90% in some cases. But experts agree that it's definitely not 100% and it could be, within that 50% range. One of the biggest challenges is these things aren't designed to be drained on the regular like this. No. They're actually doing damage to them.
Yeah.
Once that 100 million barrels worth of oil is drained, there's no hidden stockpile elsewhere. There's only the market. And that means massive spikes in the price at the pump for you and me. So if you want to know why the oil price looks good right now and why Trump is able to say, look at the oil price, it's because they're manipulating it by
to
tapping
make everybody
into their
not
backups.
panic.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't be a panicking.
Don't. Yeah. So
we're still paying attention to that. That's like watching a train crash in slow motion. That whole Middle East situation. There's nothing any of us little people can do about it. But we're paying attention to it as much as I can. Like sometimes it's hard. Like you can't track these things on a day-to-day basis because it's just so volatile and just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
That it's like come back a week later and there's been like backwards and forwards 17 times and you're still in the same position. I'm like, oh, so nothing's changed.
Yeah.
A lot of bluster, a lot of promises, a lot of underhanded spin, and it's the same. Really, it's in the same situation
and look,
it was
we're not
a week
experts,
ago.
but it's about who we're paying attention to that seems to be corrupted, unpaid for, like the guys that I just mentioned.
Yeah.
If I had to, put my money down on an outcome, I agree with, say, Robert Pape, who's saying that Iran is just winding the clock down.
Yeah.
The real implication is the 60-day window, and that's when Trump will well and truly be between a rock and a hard place. His strategic oil reserves will be clearly, demonstrably running out, and there won't be any oil flowing through, and the price will start to go up and show that he's unable to manipulate the narrative anymore.
It's really dangerous to be backed into a corner the way some of these nations are. It's really disappointing that a country like Iran, that is quite fundamentally different to a Western nation, right?
Oh, yeah, without doubt.
Without doubt. Like, it's hard. Like, you say something like, well, Iran has come out on top, and you get absolutely nailed. Oh, you're pro-Iran. No, it's just objectively what's happening.
Yeah.
The American government, Trump, miscalculated what he was told, and it's made an absolute shit show of the situation.
Yeah.
And it's made Iran come out on top.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing.
I don't know where this... Oh, it comes from an episode of The Wire. I saw this on that little mini doco on Sam Altman that I watched last night, and it was the quote that if you come for the king, you better not miss. And it's such an apt quote, when it, like in the Sam Altman case, like they missed. In this scenario, the exact same thing has happened. They went to like topple and they missed. They missed. Yeah. Do I think that it's a good thing that Iran become a nuclear superpower on the world stage with China, Russia, North Korea? No, I definitely don't. But wake up to reality. The only thing that happens now is you make it worse.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's where that stands.
You're making it worse.
That's where I'm banking. How does it affect us? It'll affect us at the pump in a couple of months' time.
So how does it affect us? We're building our buffers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Building our self-reliance. Really interesting. I listened to a really interesting interview on how preppers have the psychology behind prepping.
Yeah.
And the psychology that goes into prepping against like a totalitarian sort of ideology.
Yeah, yeah.
And how like whether people are approaching it from like a logic, analytical standpoint, or from an instinctual standpoint.
Yep.
And yeah, it was just a really fascinating insight, maybe question, like, what is it that I perceive that's unstable that has me becoming more self-reliant?
Yeah.
And yeah, self-reliance really is a bit of an FU to a system that wants to be able to say, nothing to see here, everything's fine, whereas you're over here going, but it doesn't look fine.
Yeah.
Because you're a little bit more clear-headed, you're not as reliant on the system for what you need on your day-to-day basis.
Controllable.
You're less controllable.
Yeah.
Therefore, you see things clearer. You can see above the spin. You can see above the propaganda, and you can go, oh.
And just look at the control measures that they put in place when it comes to any method of self-reliance. We did an episode a while ago about solar power and the virtual power plant mechanism that the government are now requiring be built into all now off-grid solar components that you use. Now, fortunately, the gear we've got, we can turn that function off, and we're actually not even connected anyway. But they want an ability to be able to control your ability to be dependent on energy. Recently, as part of the new budget, they want to take away from people who have a self-managed super fund the ability to borrow, so that you can no longer
borrow for property, borrow to buy property.
Yeah, which was a major win for people who did set, which is granted, is probably 5% of the country who have done this, right? But who have taken responsibility for their own future independence, financially speaking, to say, I am going, instead of trusting these mega corporations, super corporations, I am going to do it in a way that makes sense to me, that's ethical by my standards, and because the facility exists there, we're going to borrow, we're going to buy land or a house or a commercial property or whatever it might be, and it will make money and do what you're supposed to do for your retirement. Why do they take that ability away?
Oh, but the big super funds can do it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
They're allowed. They're allowed to do it.
We just don't want the little guy doing it. And you have to ask the question, why? Yeah, it sounds very conspiratorial, and maybe it is. I started listening to that same podcast, and it was very interesting when he was talking about the difference between a totalitarian leadership, kind of government, versus a dictatorship. It's not the same thing, but one can lead to the other. And totalitarianism is problematic.
Yes.
It's not the reason we have government.
Yes,
you have to come back to that. What is your reason for wanting to have government? Well, we can't all get together all in the same place at the same time to hash things out, and so we need representatives.
Yes.
That is the entire reason. We need representatives who speak on our behalf. So when they don't,
or when they vote against something that's in our best interest, I feel more represented by Alex Antic today than many other things.
Yeah. So, Karl Stefanovic got fired.
Got cancelled.
Nothing to see there.
It's been really interesting to see some of the comment section here. And look, I have a love-hate relationship with the comment section.
Yes, you do.
I have been so surprised in the last week since our last episode. Like, you can understand something theoretically, and then you can experience it, and it just like illuminates so much. It's like you have this epiphany, and it's like, oh, it's really as bad as we thought.
Yeah.
People are just as divided and divisive as we thought.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to just go, we hate him, so we don't listen to anything that he has to say.
Yeah,
we didn't like this one thing that he did, so we can't listen to anything else that he has to say.
Yeah.
And watching him, like, when I heard that he was going to be interviewing Tommy Robinson, I'm like, wow, that's brave.
Yeah, that's a plank.
But there's a few of you that have said, oh, Karl Stefanovic, he's not the real deal, he's not legit. I don't know about him either. But I have listened to a lot of the interviews that he's done.
Just take it episode by episode.
Yeah, exactly. The one that he did with Albo didn't go hard enough. But some of the other conversations that he's bringing into the mainstream outside of the mainstream media machine,
Yeah.
I think is really valid and important. And so I am unsurprised that he took that. I am surprised that he put it up and took it down. I'm really surprised that he did that. I'm like, if you put something like that out there, you kind of know what you're in for, right?
So there's a bit of skepticism out there, and some are insinuating that possibly this is all a bit of theatre. That
wouldn't surprise me.
Publishing it and taking it down produces the Streisand effect.
Sure.
Like if you know how to make the Streisand effect, which we talked about last week, then you can draw more attention to something by seemingly saying it's not allowed. You're not allowed to see this. So, yeah, sure, the skeptic in me goes, all right, if he did that, I can see why he would. That'd be a smart move. He's kind of doing his own version of a Tucker Carlson here, you know. And look, it's a proven strategy. There's a playbook there. You know, some of these voices that got banned from their networks for daring to speak their mind and not follow the script anymore have become bigger than what they were when they were, you know.
What I love about it is that it's highlighting the fact that the mainstream do have censorship guardrails of what you are and are not allowed to talk about.
Of course they do.
So if you didn't know that before, at least this is really pushing it into the forefront. What do you mean we can't have a conversation about that?
Yeah.
You might not like the guy. If you didn't want to watch the interview, don't bloody well watch the interview. Did you know that you can scroll past things that you don't agree with? It just boggles my mind. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it.
Yeah.
Don't be outraged about it if you don't agree with, you know, like, just scroll past, okay?
Well, it's like what you're saying about the unsubscribe comment. Like, I can't believe you said that, or I can't believe you would talk about this. I'm unsubscribing.
I'm out.
There's so many times there's this little meme that I really wanted to post in response to that was like, not an airport, you don't need to announce your departures. But I guess for some people, like...
So if you say that, that's what we're going to think.
But think about where that thinking comes from. I've been doing a bit of thinking about that. In the past, if you didn't like what a TV show represented, if you didn't watch, even if it was a piece of fiction, right? If you didn't watch a certain TV show, the Nielsen ratings were there to show the network that they weren't getting the viewership, so they weren't going to be able to sell the ad slots. So therefore...
That's what a free market will do, right?
The network would pull that piece of content, right? And the viewership got to determine it, right? So if you just didn't, you could protest
by just not
watching it, and you knew that was doing something. Unfortunately, in a free media world, in an independent media world, like a social media world, that doesn't work anymore. Because the reach is beyond, like, however many people are sitting down at 6 o'clock in the evening to watch Channel 9.
Yeah.
The reach is worldwide. And so if you don't want to watch and you unsubscribe, it barely has any effect on the content creator being true to their own position. So I do find that to be this kind of leftover from a bygone era
I understand.
method of protesting something that you think shouldn't be in the public forum. And unfortunately, that's not how the public forum... Agree or disagree, but that's not how the public forum works anymore. Everybody's got a soapbox.
Yeah. I mean, I'm unsurprised that there's backlash on Karl. There's so many things that I didn't agree with him about. But here's the thing. And maybe it's when you put yourself into a situation where you start to say things in a more public space that you can see things from a different perspective, right? A lot of you have said, yeah, but he trashed everybody during the COVID era. Yeah, he did. And he's come out and said, I'm really, like, I changed my position, you know. Where is, for a human, right? He's a human. It's not a network. It's not it's not a company. It's a person. Where is the ability now for a person to be able to go, do you know what? I learned some stuff and I realized I was wrong and I changed my mind. Yeah. Where is the humanity there? Or do we just not give second chances anymore?
I guess so, because there's a lot of people who are like, he made the wrong call during COVID. I can never listen to him again. Well, okay, that's actually your prerogative.
Don't do it. That's fine.
So don't. You don't have to.
No.
But allow your fellow citizens, the rest of your community, to be as equally as intelligent as you are purporting to be by making up their own mind about whether a person is worthy of your time and attention.
Yeah.
That's the whole, I think that's the whole deal with the social media economy, the attention economy, is that if it's not worth your time and attention, well, they will just fizzle into insignificance.
Totally.
But if they're reaching people
Yes.
and they're having an impact, just because you disagree shouldn't mean that you have a right to try and convince people on some other basis. And that's what happens. That's what cancel culture is. It's, I don't like what this person said about this one thing, therefore I think they need to be fully silenced. Nobody should be subjected to what they have to say. And it's like, but what you're saying of your fellow citizens is nobody else has the level of intelligence that you have to interpret what they're saying and come to a similar conclusion to you. What you're really worried about, what you're really saying is that they'll come to a different conclusion to the one that you hold, and that would be bad for you if it, you know, resulted in a policy change or something that, the world worked differently to how you think it should. And unfortunately, that's the free market of ideas and information.
That's right. And we need to protect that. What I've witnessed this week, as particularly against it politically, with the stunt that was pulled at the press club with Pauline, and the absolute trolling of her as a person, not her like necessarily her ideas, like everything coming against her, talking about Australia should have a monoculture, not a multiculture. All of the things that she's been saying. I lost my train of thought completely. Where was I going with this?
Well, we're talking about free market of ideas and people being able to disagree. And while you think about that, because I know it'll come to you, let me share something with you along a similar vein about censorship. And because I think what we're really talking about is free speech.
Completely lost.
That's all right. It'll come to you.
Yeah.
We're talking about free speech and giving people the respect to be able to make up their own minds.
Yes.
You got it? Hold it, because I'll share this. The Queensland Police Service have an X account. They're on, formerly Twitter, they're on X, but they just posted this week, while the QPS account on X will be deactivated, the @Queensland Police handle will be retained to protect the service's reputation, prevent misuse, and retain an official record. So they're keeping the account so that nobody else can register it. We remain committed to keeping Queenslanders informed through high engaging social media channels, traditional media, and other trusted sources. The irony is, on the bottom of that post that they made, it had 321,000 views. And the post that I saw that on basically said, I can't find it now, but they screenshotted that and showed it.
It's 1.2
million
million
now. It's up to 1.2 million views, when you scroll down. So what Queensland Police were trying to say is, nobody's really reading what we do on X anyway. It's a waste of our resources. We're going to stick to things like Facebook. They do have a large Facebook presence. And look, they do. They find missing people and they catch bad guys and that by doing it.
They catch bad guys.
But it's kind of their job, right? But what they're saying is they want to redirect their social media resources. And I call bullshit, because there is like a number of apps where you can hit post and it goes to Facebook and X at the same time.
Yes.
Costs you
Nothing.
no more. So what's the real reason, Queensland Police? Why don't you want to put your stuff on X? Is it because there's a certain leaning side of the population that you don't like when they call you out on your bullshit? Because, I'm sorry, but there is some stuff that you put online that's bullshit, and we don't want you involved in, and we don't want you doing, and we don't want our tax dollars going towards. And when we call you out on it, the answer shouldn't be close the door, we're not listening, which is effectively what they've done.
Yeah.
And don't try and gaslight us by saying it's costing us too many resources to have a person that's monitoring what's going on X. We're going to commit to, what did they say? Trusted sources, such as high engaging social media channels, trusted media, and other trusted sources.
Do they mean Blue Sky?
They mean the places where they can control the narrative and they don't have to deal with dissidents, which is what they call us if we disagree. It's a problematic road that we're going down when you say we want to control the narrative and they outright say it in places like this. That is problematic. When your law enforcement agencies start doing it, you should be paying attention. That is problematic. All right, did you remember your point?
Yeah, it was the comments that we've had this week about being disgusted, shocked.
Oh, on our podcast.
Yeah, on our podcast. That people thought we were better than this. That people thought that we listened to too much mainstream media. We were sheep.
Clearly we don't.
Every single one of those comments that was like, I thought you were great, but I'm out. I really struggle. And there was somebody else who pushed back on one of those comments, like, oh, somebody said something that you disagree with, so your first instinct is to run away.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, instead of maybe...
create a dialogue.
or listen. And if you don't agree, you can say, yeah, I don't agree with that. And that's completely fine. But instead of being open-minded,
Yeah.
they just grab bullhorns
Yeah.
and start shouting.
Yeah. Well, sometimes quite literally.
Sometimes quite literally. And I'm not just talking about our podcast, but that's what I've really kind of noticed.
In the landscape
of
yeah.
of, you know, our pod and witnessing what's happening on other podcast channels as well. Instead of engaging,
Yeah.
it's, I'm not going to say grabbing a bat, and that's violent, but grabbing a bullhorn and screaming in somebody's face and then going, I'm leaving. It's like, okay.
All right, you're allowed.
If you're that angry about it,
Yeah.
just go.
If you can't handle your own emotions and
That's
you think
right.
the best course of action for yourself is to leave, leave. But also, not an airport.
But this is the whole, and what I see going into a really volatile political time in Australia, like really volatile.
Yeah, without
and
a
the
doubt.
government, the sitting government, are not helping at all.
You know who I've lost respect for a little bit, or maybe a lot? It's Jared Rennick. I actually think he's a really intelligent guy, but I think the way that he's engaging on social media, he has debased himself.
Yeah, I'm
and I have a
disappointed.
problem when you play dirty games.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised when people think that you're a dirty player. Like, he didn't have to do that. And a lot of people came at us in the comments and were like, and to be clear, not that I want to make too many apologies here, we didn't come out in support of Pauline and a lot of stuff. We were just kind of pointing out what was happening. But that's besides the point.
It's proven that people don't actually listen. They see,
right, well, I've got something to say about that as well.
They start screaming.
But there were a lot of comments saying, you know who we should really be listening to is Jared Rennick, and I would have agreed.
Completely agreed.
But I've lost a little bit of faith in him because of the way he's behaving. I mean, I particularly...
on X.
My main social media is X at the moment. And I'll tell you why, and because we get quizzed on this as well. What are your sources? It's super easy to verify. There is literally a little grok button up in the corner and you can kind of go, well, that's Elon Musk. It's all bought and paid for and corrupted. Well, whatever.
Sure, okay.
Like at some point you've got to trust something, but I don't even trust grok. I click that little grok button. It gives me a summary of what the person's posted. It verifies their sources if they've included it. And then you can start a conversation and go, how true is this? Just start with that. How true is this? And watch it go and do the research for you. But you're right. People are, unfortunately, soundbite driven these days. I definitely blame TikTok and those social platforms, but I have a little bit of hope because what's happening with the rise and the advent of AI is that, and because AI can't really easily do long form stuff at the moment, and it's super easy to see when it does, like how it fails, a lot of the antidote to the AI slop that's coming out online right now is long form conversation. And it's pushing. I know even our daughter recently came to us and said, who are some of the podcasts that you listen to? I think I need to start listening to podcasts.
She's like, I need to be more informed.
Because they know that they can get themselves worked up by just scrolling and watching the sound bites, but it's lacking context. And there are literally now bot farms that are employing AI to create deep fakes and sound bites because it's easy to do. And there will be an entire, at least their generation, that lose faith in that format of social media. And I'm not disappointed.
No.
But what we noticed in our podcast episode from last week is a lot of people made up their mind based on what we call, in the YouTube world, we call it the packaging. That's the thumbnail, the title, and the first 30 seconds. All of that stuff is constructed, we will admit. We designed that to show you what we're about and hopefully earn your view.
Yeah.
But then hopefully you listen to the remaining 59 minutes and 30 seconds and see
for a bit of context.
See if what we said in the thumbnail or the title or the intro kind of aligns. But you could definitely tell when somebody watched the first 30 seconds and was like, "Rah!" on their keyboard. And I'm like, oh.
It's really interesting. We obviously listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
Obviously. And I was listening to one from Two Worlds Collide with Heston Russell.
Oh, yeah.
And at the start of that podcast, he was talking about, I find him an incredibly articulate person.
Sam?
Heston.
Yeah. Yes.
he said there's two ways that the ancient Greeks, ancient Romans,
that was fascinating.
would approach a conversation.
Yeah.
And it was either philosophically
Yeah.
or to win.
Yeah.
And depending on how you approach a conversation depends on the quality, the outcome, the type of conversation that you'll have. Are you coming to a conversation curious?
Yeah, to increase knowledge.
Open-mindedness?
Yep.
Increase knowledge? Maybe to shore up your own position? Maybe your mind gets changed on one or two different things?
Yep.
Is your goal to become more informed? Either way? For or against your own opinions?
Yep.
Or is your goal to come in and go, nah, that's not what I think?
She's a racist. And here's the proof, right, in that we're dealing with an entire, portion of the population that have not been equipped, and I blame the education system, on how to interact socially like this, politically like this. Because we said on last week's podcast, please come at us. And I'll say it again, come at us.
No, don't come at us. Kirsty can't handle it. I'm not built for this.
Here's the way. I'm going to give you parameters because, number one, I'll just leave your comment unanswered. I won't engage with you if you're not intelligent in this way. But I will also delete you if you cross a line. And we've got a very firm line. If you go that route and you just come in to win, especially if you start getting personal, if you make attacks and there's nothing to be gained, oftentimes I will delete comments. And you might say, well, that's a form of censorship, but you offered nothing to the conversation. But if you come in and say, I disagree and here's why, all of a sudden I've got new knowledge that I can engage with, right? Even if it doesn't, align with me straight away, as a person who seeks knowledge, I have to sit up and pay attention.
Yes.
And so last week,
compel me.
We said, don't come at this whole Pauline Hanson phenomenon that has erupted onto the political stage with she's a racist
and she's backed by Gina
Reinhart bought her a jet. Because all you're doing is repeating the TikTok talking points. And do you know what? The majority of the pushback that we got was, she's a racist and Gina Reinhart gave her a jet.
She's got no new policies and she's done nothing in 30 years. All of which is debatable.
It's all very debatable. What I wanted was somebody to come back and say, this is why she's problematic. And here, I'll do you one better. Measure her by the same measuring stick that you measure your preferred party against. So if you've got a problem with her because she's a billionaire, I'll share a graph with you down below.
No, because she's got one billionaire backer.
She's not a billionaire. She's got one billionaire backer.
Yes.
A graph got shared this week online that showed how many billionaire backers the parties have got. Labor, 16 of them.
Yep.
Liberal LNP, 14 billionaire backers.
Plus the super funds and the unions on the Labor side.
One nation, one. So my challenge there is, if you have a fundamental problem with billionaires backing politicians,
which I do,
measure them all by the same standard and then tell me how it's even a talking point. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't use it to create a she's this because of this when you won't apply that same measurement against the alternatives.
That's right. There has to be some kind of reasonableness brought back into the political conversation.
Yeah.
The answer to whatever crap the government is feeding us right now is conversations like this, and staying in a conversation even when you're uncomfortable and when you feel like you don't agree.
But that's what we don't get taught.
I listened to that Sam Bamford and Dr. Joanna Howe debate her husband.
Yeah.
And it got really fiery, and I was so uncomfortable in that conversation, like physically uncomfortable.
Yep.
And there's so many times that I went to turn it off because I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like this is wrong. I disagree somewhat with Sam, but then he was making some good points, and I was like, I don't need this in my life.
Yeah.
But I forced myself to stick with it, and I still don't know what I think, but it's caused me to think a little bit deeper and have a little bit more perspective from 3 different perspectives in that conversation.
Yeah, wow.
Just because you don't agree on the surface, don't just dismiss it and then run away because you feel like your feelings got hurt and like you can't believe that these podcasters would say something. The discourse needs to get better in this level with the ordinary Australians, because for too long we have been too blasé. oh, we don't talk about politics. We don't talk about that.
Yeah. At the dinner table, no politics, no religion.
Yeah, but that's got us to this point, right? We need to have conversations. The best way to avoid governments walking all over our futures is to have a mobilised society, an informed society, a not politically apathetic society anymore, especially people our age who are, starting to really take on those leadership positions. We need to have conversations. We need to have disagreements. It needs to be respectful. We need to bloody well listen to each other and be able to have our minds changed if something different, like you can support One Nation and still disagree with policies. You can support the Labor Party and still disagree with policies.
Yeah.
Both things can be true at the same time, but what I find very dangerous is what I see happening and has happened in America is like Pauline derangement syndrome has hit Australia. It's like TDS has come in and it's like, nah, it's all bad and it's all terrible. That's just such an ignorant way to view what is going to be a really important political time in Australian history.
It's a reasonable pushback too. Like some people have said to us, she's like Trump. Look at where Trump has got America to.
Absolutely.
That's actually a reasonable argument.
Yeah.
Now frame that with us in a conversational way.
With each other.
Lay out your, well, do it with us or do it with each other, whatever.
Or do it with your friends and family. I don't necessarily
But do it in
mean
a way
us.
that generates conversation and results in, hey, this is actually, if we boil it all down, what we're concerned about, and here's what we want to write to our senator about, or whatever the outcome might be, instead of creating another bullhorn moment that actually doesn't change anything.
Doesn't do
Look,
anything.
Mainstream media is dying. It's dying a slow, agonising death. It's currently in its death throes. Karl Stefanovic being fired by Channel 9.
Just another...
It's not a sign that they're operating from a position of strength. It's a sign that they are like in their death throes.
And they're owned.
But unfortunately, in the decades that we've had them, we have acclimatised an entire population to sound bites and scripted segments. That doesn't exist anymore in the world of social media, free media, long-form conversations. People are waking up to a new dialect almost.
Let's do better.
But it's going to require education. It's going to start with, I said this before, but I remember in school how they taught us how to read a newspaper. It was a fundamentally different way of presenting information to what you were used to in your everyday, so you had to educate children on how to read a newspaper. We never really did that for TV media, and now here we are in the age of social media, and our children are no less educated, and then kind of moving into their working lives on how to understand and interpret various forms of media, but more importantly, how to engage with it. I think that's where it starts. I think we have a big, huge problem, and I think that where spaces exist online right now where the conversation gets encouraged and not just unnecessarily heated and bullhorn moments, I think those are going to be the spaces that win out in the end. And it makes a lot of people who are institutional people, either they own and run the institutions or they feel safely protected by the institutions, it makes institutional people feel very anxious. And I can understand that.
And that, what did that psychologists call it? That latent floating anxiety needs something to attach itself to. So that's where I go back to, if you can understand that you're being manipulated and take control of your own thought life and your own thinking, we're not going to sit here, because like we're homesteaders, we're just giving our perspective, right? We're just a couple of Aussies giving our perspective that people resonate with, right? But we're never going to tell you what to think, who to vote for, how to do anything. What we're trying to do is encourage more free thinking. Understand where your perspective has been manipulated, and do your own work to unshackle yourself from that. That's what I think our whole point is. Is Pauline the answer? Who knows? Is the Labor government the answer? Well, it's not looking very good. We all know that the Liberals are completely dismal and dying a very, very quick death. What's going to happen? Who's to know? But what's important is that we're having conversations about it, about what's important, about what it means to be Australian, about how to save our country and how to leave it better for our children. That's up to us now.
And I do think it involves some of these breaking of these large institutions and entrenched ways of thinking and doing public discourse and dialogue. Like I said this recently about Pauline Hanson. I don't know if she's the answer, but she's a wrecking ball. And sometimes when you do construction, you need a wrecking ball. But you also don't build the next building with the wrecking ball. So maybe she's not the long-term answer. Anyway, that's just a little side note to say that something has to change.
Something has to change.
And hopefully we get to bring part of that change by encouraging the types of conversations that will foster change and genuine dialogue, not just talking points. That's our goal anyway.
Be the change you want to see in the world.
Look, it's not a bad quote. Gets overused, but it's...
No, but it's true.
It's kind of true.
That's the groundswell, right? It's not even podcasters, although that's going to become a very important tool for good conversation. And it'll be bad conversation as well. But conversations around the dinner table where you may have been afraid of voicing your political views before, or that it would divide you, like maybe start having conversations with each other. You'd probably be surprised about what some of your mates think and what they don't. And let's practice becoming conversationally literate, right?
It's a big ask. But I think it is actually what needs to happen. And the agree to disagree thing needs to be the first lesson you learn. Like genuinely be okay with the person, that you can still be in a relationship, friendship, family, whatever, with a person, even if you have a point over which you disagree. But
in our family, we have very different.
Even in our immediate family,
we have some feisty conversations, and we have some very different ideologies. Our kids have very different ideologies.
Well, because
not ideologies, ideas.
We've taught them to be free thinkers.
That's right.
Of course we were going to get that result, but you know what we do? We break bread together afterwards.
Absolutely. We always, and this is how we taught our kids, the most important thing is that we have a relationship that is preserved above all else. And so that changes how you engage each other. Right? If you go, this relationship is important to me, but I'd really like to have the conversation, you engage differently. You're more mindful. You're probably not going to grab a bullhorn and scream in their faces.
Definitely not.
Or if it does get to that, you can work that through together. You become better. The community becomes stronger when you do have those stormy moments of trying to thrash things out and understand each other. Don't shy away from that. That just breeds isolation. Isolation makes you very vulnerable to propaganda and to manipulation. We are 100% better in community, and you have to be able to learn how to have these hard and difficult conversations and how to have diametrically opposed viewpoints about certain issues and still be able to exist together.
It seems like the basis of a working society.
Kirsty's living in utopia. But why not fight for that?
I think that's probably the most important thing to fight for.
Well,
that's going to do it for this week.
Whew, need a nap.
Join us down in the comment section. And like we said, disagree with us. Don't be a TikTok talking points person.
No.
Don't get personal, or your comment might get deleted. But if you've got a personal story, that is a difference. And hopefully,
let's become better.
What we do is foster good conversations. So we will join you guys down in the comment section.
Does that mean we have to reply to comments? Because we don't often reply to comments.
The ones we can get to.
We will try.
Go outside, take your shoes off, touch the ground.
Stand in the sun.
Eat some good food. See you next time.